Welcome back to the Women's Lounge, your go-to space where we take a deep dive into stories shaping women's lives, our fight for justice, and the power we're building together. I'm your host, Emiliana Guereca, and today we've got a packed episode from political shifts to significant blows to reproductive rights. Stay here. We're going to also talk about the latest updates and asking where the Epstein files are. So today we're talking about political shifts on the national perspective, what is happening around women's rights, what is happening around political races. So we start with what's shaking the nation really in California. So the current Lieutenant Governor Lani Kulianakas has suspended her campaign for governor in the state of California. And this a week after Kamala Harris suspended her campaign as well, leaving us in a little bit of an uncertain future for California. But we still have women running. So we've got Betty Yee running for governor. We've got Katie Porter running for governor, as well as Javier Becerra, as well as Antonio Vieira. And let's see who else jumps into the race. So that's where we are. So 2026. Lani Kulianakas will not run for governor in the state of California. She decided to step away and she withdrew her paperwork today. So what we're talking about here is how women really are navigating the current state of politics, how they're navigating power, leadership, and the stakes are high. And I am seeing a little bit of a pullback from women, and I think this is across the country. Some are doubling down, some are pulling back, and for the word of the week from VP Harris is the capitulation. We are seeing it. We were seeing it across the country, both from men and women. So we're starting to see a little bit of pullback. So hopefully it's not for long, because we know we've got to continue the pressure to ensure that the women are elected at all levels of leadership. So what we're looking at is making sure that women are elected at all levels of government. Governor for sure is one of those. So we'll keep an eye on that. So now we have the current administration, the Trump administration is on a full-blown attack at UCLA based on his track record now of Harvard and Columbia and attacking the institutions. We know that now he's on UCLA and the impact it is having on families. And I think what we don't think about is that these academic institutions, the funding isn't necessarily for student scholarships. The funding is for research, for critical research, whether it's on medicine, whether it's on environment. What they withhold is funding for the institutions. Currently, UCLA's funding of up to $580 million has been withheld. And the news is that they want a settlement of about $1 billion, according to CNN. So that is where we're at. So the attacks are continuing on that part, which is an alarming trend as the attacks on the education system continue to harm families, and all in the name of the supposed, their term of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But the reality is that these attacks hurt all communities, regardless of your race, regardless of your economic status. Withholding funding from research harms all of us. So we'll stay tuned and see where that goes. Today's Friday, August the 8th, and the tariffs started yesterday. So tariffs from countries like India, Japan, Canada, Mexico have gone into effect, some higher than others. But if you are like me and have gone out to the stores, you'll start to see the prices are high. I bought my kombucha today and it was closer to $6 when I'm used to paying about $4, $3.99 or something like that. So you'll start to see it. And so I think that consumers are starting to not spend as much. The stores are not as busy. So we'll see. And keep in mind, most of our furniture, cars, big purchases are imports. So we'll see where that leaves us. It's going to come down to the economic shift. It's going to be especially hard for families, especially hard for those families that are struggling to make ends meet. Not everyone has recovered from COVID, so we'll see where all that goes, and it's almost back to school time, and so we'll see how that works out for all of us. But I do think that we're headed for a recession. You can feel the folks not buying as much. You see it in the stores. So we'll see where all of that leads us, because we know that they have lied to us. We, the consumer, will be paying the price for higher tariffs. It isn't the countries or the companies, it's the consumer. So moving on into the Women's Rights Watch, and today we're talking about reproductive rights. So we're talking about the pullback of funding for Title. The Trump administration is withholding funding across the nation for access to contraception. And we know from polls across the United States and across political parties that most people think that contraception should be accessible, should be legal, and yet we're looking at the Trump administration rolling back access with a particular, I think, insidious move by cutting funding to Title X. So if we don't know, Title X is a program that was started by the Nixon administration. The program guarantees low-income women free access to contraception. Title X, enacted by Nixon, was something that he truly believed in. One of his mottos was that your socioeconomic status should not keep you from family planning. This was started in the 70s. And so for now, they're withholding funding. At the time in the 70s, the reason it was started because women in the 70s had particular challenges around finding and accessing and paying for contraception. So we know that program was essential to providing reproductive health care to millions. So ensuring that no family was denied planning services due to economic status was enacted in the 70s. And so now the freezing of the funding for Title X is jeopardizing that. It is estimated that about 800,000 women will be affected. So we will keep our eyes on that. Moving into the lawsuit, there are about 15 or so public health organizations that are suing Trump, accusing the Trump administration of withholding funds and distributing funds. In particular, Bridger Care out of Montana is one of the plaintiffs, and their funding was suspended due to statements about anti-racism, which the Trump administration deemed as violations of the Civil Rights Act. So they stopped their funding. So they talked about it's an attack on DEI, and it's not. It's an effort to control women. Let's not forget, it's an effort to control women. It's an effort to suppress diversity and equity in healthcare. That's what it's about. So although we made progress, we know that when Roe fell, things have gotten dire and worse for women. And so this is a fight that we must continue to fight. This is a battle that is not going to be won in a year or in an election year or off election year. But we understand that it's going to affect a lot of women. So we are going to continue to push back. We must call our elected officials. I know Congress is on vacation. They're on recess. Don't ask me why. They should not be on vacation. But if they are on vacation, they are in your state. Make sure to contact them. With all of that, let's ask, where are the Epstein files? I mean, the Trump administration ran on accountability, ran on making sure that there would be justice for these individuals, justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. And yet we know that they just recently transferred Ghislaine Maxwell into a different prison. We know that the Department of Justice has spoken to her, has interviewed her. There was even talk of a pardon. So where are the files? Release them. Who do they think they're going to pardon? Who is in there? What we do know is that Bondi stated that Trump was in the files. In what context, we don't know, but he is named in the files. So release the files. If you've got nothing to hide, release the files. That's where we're at. So it's been years. The survivors are still waiting for the truth, for justice. Who does it expose? The issue here is who is continuing to enable these folks to continue to keep these stories buried. There's urgency around it. People want to know. And if we supposedly want to protect kids and the children, why aren't they released? So I think that we need to continue to demand the truth or risk another generation or more generation of young girls to be silenced when something happens to them. So the question we all need to be asking is, where are those files? Release the files. So that's a wrap for today, Friday, August 8th. Stay safe. We must continue to fight back, but also to stay engaged. This fight is going to continue. I'm Emiliana Guereca. Thank you for listening. This is the Women's Lounge. It's Friday. It's hot. Hopefully you are still enjoying this summer, and see you next time with more updates. Subscribe, reach out. Don't forget to share, follow on social media to stay updated. Thank you for listening. Thank you for continuing to stay in the fight for equality on women's rights. Keep pushing for change, because every issue is a woman's issue.